I've worked in talent acquisition and recruiting for about a decade, and you would be surprised how many men who apply for jobs either did it because their wives made them do it or their wives actually did it for them. These men are so fucking lazy and they're
We know. That's why the men are genuinely tweaking right now. That's why we're seeing this extinction burst. That's why they're so afraid to just let us walk away. Who else would take their gross little sticky hands and walk them through life like a little toddler, making sure that they don't trip over anything, making sure that they have their snack, making sure they don't step into a puddle, making sure they apply for their job, making sure they wipe their butt crack, making sure we wash the skid marks out of their boxers. Of course, we know. I love this info, but you're telling this to people who know damn well because they're the ones doing this. This is one of the many, we've spoken a lot about the ways that women benefit men's lives. There's like 100 things left on that list. We're just not ready to talk about them openly yet. But this is definitely one of them, right? Being your man's freaking recruiter, basically, preventing him from making dumb business or employment decisions, making sure his alarms are set, making sure his work clothes are clean. All of that is part of the package that women have been offering for centuries now to men who otherwise wouldn't be shit. And now that we have the opportunity to take all that energy and channel it towards ourselves, now the men, it's like they've been unplugged, they've been unplugged from the source. That's their biggest fear. Of course, it's all of our biggest fear. But men have denied themselves the connection to the source by rejecting their femininity. We can't help it that we are closer to the source, and not only that, always been forced to use feminine and masculine energy interchangeably and as we need to. In fact, when we try to play the same game as men and we say, okay, I'm not going to lean into like my masculine anymore. Men don't like masculine women, whatever. I'll be feminine. I'll allow a man to lead me, which isn't technically feminine, by the way. Just being led around by anybody, that's not feminine. But we say, okay, I'll take the stupid idea of being feminine that includes completely random things like submission, like servitude, like all this other stuff. I'll do all that. That actually weakens you. That actually removes you from the source. That's why women go into a relationship as a grape and come out of it as a raisin. It's like the man is taking all of your lifeblood. You're no longer connected to the source, so you're just being dried out. You're being wrung out in that relationship. Because men deny themselves the mindset and the habits that they need in order to actually be successful, in order to do anything with their life. And that's where women come in. And this is why, as women have channeled that energy towards ourselves and at best towards each other, women are coming up in the world. Women are, by all patriarchal standards, winning right now. We own more houses, more employed, making more money, less of us living in our parents' basement. That's women taking that energy that they naturally have because we're taught radical responsibility from a very young age. We're taught housekeeping skills from a very young age. We're taught to work twice as hard as men just to get paid less and all this stuff. We're very resilient, right? Whereas men are not. Literally so unresilient that they will just give up. You know what I mean? They're just giving up. And a lot of them are mad that they don't get to just count on trapping a wife appliance to serve them. That's really it. They're mad that they're not being given that chance by the government or whatever because women have jobs now. And the best thing they can think of is let's take that stuff away from women so that they have to invest their energy in us again. They're energy vampires. We're only going to keep uncovering more and more and more and more ways that women have been actually subsidizing men's incompetence and their general lack of like a will to live. And we've basically been used as firewood to stoke the flames of success for somebody else. And women at this point are like, guess what? If I'm going to set myself on fire at this point, it's not going to be to keep you warm. That's what it is. Turns out you don't need to set yourself on fire to keep yourself warm. You just have to bypass getting trapped by a man who's going to deprive you of resources and force you to set yourself on fire, right? When you're out there by yourself, there's many ways to make a fire. Women know this. There's many ways to find the resources you need as long as you have that freedom and the access to resources. Women will always be fine. And men hate that and they're jealous jealous of that. And that's why they're always trying to walk us back from that. They're always trying to trap us without resources and without a way out. They're taking no fault divorce off the table. That's why they don't want women voting. They're trying to make it harder for women to own businesses. They're trying to make it harder for women to get a loan. They're coming after credit cards and stuff like that. All part of that extinction burst. They know that our energy is so valuable that they cannot allow us to invest it in ourselves. Stay safe out there, and Godspeed, ladies. I love you so much.